Okay. There we go. We are now live. Okay, it is Friday, April 19th, 2024 at 6:10 p.m. Sorry, I'm a little bit late here. I kind of lost track of time there and realized I needed to get stuff together, including the thumbnail for this and everything like that. So, all right. So, first video of my review series covering the Fallout television series first season just came out this morning. I'm going to be trying to produce a new episode of that every few days. Especially going to be easier now that I realize exactly what I'm doing with it. If you didn't read the description about the stuff that was going on with it, I have been trying to upload that thing for at least a couple days now, and was dealing with copyright issues. And also before that, I was just trying to figure out what exactly I was going to do with it, if I was going to use footage or just screenshots, and turns out that YouTube did not like it when I used footage. Their videos and they use footage. I don't know why, but for whatever reason it didn't like it when I used it. So anyway, you think that Lucy Goosey McLean is hotter than Moira Brown. Welcome to the stream, Lot of Mercy. Well, given that the best representation we have of Moira Brown is in Fallout 3 graphics, I mean, I don't know. Hey Goodman, good to see you. Hope you're having a good week. Let's see. Okay, so basically let's talk about what's coming up. So like I just said, I'm going to cover the Fallout series, which means I've covered the first episode. There are 8 in total. I'm going to do a concluding episode that will cover the entire season. So that should be 8 videos that I produce. Covering that entire first season. Now, if you're not aware, the show has been renewed, so there is going to be a second season of the show. So, hey, Sean, good to see you. Hope you're having a good week as well. Hope everybody out there. Again, I'm going to talk a little bit more about the Fallout TV show, but I'm going to not. I don't know exactly how in-depth to get, because I feel like people are now talking about it, right? Where there's not as much of an issue with spoilers, now that it's been out for a week and a half. I feel like it's one of those sorts of things where if you're gonna see it, you probably have seen it. I don't know. Maybe not. At the very least, if you're interested in the Fallout universe, and you're gonna see it, you probably have seen it by this point. Although it's entirely possible that people are just having really busy weeks, but... Anyway, so before I get to that, I'll just talk about upcoming videos other than those 8. I'm still going to be covering Point Pleasant here, which, as you can see, has become overrun with cultists. These are Mothman cultists, part of the one of the 2 Mothman cults, the dim ones. Let's see, what do we got here? Okay, 2 more comments here. I think. That would be neat. If Cooper Howard was in the Sand of Iwo Jima anti-communist propaganda film in season 2. And then... Okay, your head exploded knowing what you know now. Yeah, it's, so... I'm wondering if I should talk about, like, one of the biggest points of potential lore that you get out of the Fallout TV series. Let's give it a minute. I'll give a significant spoiler warning to anybody that's not watched it yet, and then we'll talk about it for like a minute, and then we'll leave it behind. But for now, I'll just say, along with those 8 videos covering the Fallout TV series, I'll also be producing the video here on Point Pleasant. Then after that, I'll be producing the video covering the Mothman cults. And then I'll go back to Fallout 4. And after Fallout 4, I will produce another video on Fallout New Vegas. So... talk about the chalk. Yeah, we'll talk about the chalkboard as well. That is something to talk about. And I don't feel like that one's as big a thing. I did talk about that a little bit last time. Basically alluded to it. Okay. But the other thing to talk about in Fallout 76 is the fact that we're getting a significant amount of new content soon. I don't know exactly when, but I know that the public test server is now up with the Skyline Valley area. I can't remember if that's the exact name for it. Basically, from what I've seen with an updated version of the map, I wonder if they've updated the map here yet, or if they're waiting for the full release. Yeah, it looks like it's going to be south of this area that there's going to be the new area that we get to visit. So that'll be interesting to see. Basically, what we're looking at in the real world is we're looking at the western tip of Virginia, and potentially even down to North Carolina area. Now, I don't think that we're looking at down towards Raleigh. The only reason I talk about that is because I believe that there's somebody who talks about Raleigh. No, sorry, I'm mixing up memories here. I remember when I was first learning about the Free States and was learning about Raleigh Clay, one of the leaders of the Free States, and so I was thinking like they were talking about Raleigh, and they weren't using the full name Raleigh Clay. So anyway, trying to remember that if I need to rewatch my own video on the Blue Ridge Mountain or the Blue Ridge Caravan, because I feel like their organization started in North Carolina. But anyway, it's been like a year and a half since I've thought significantly about the Blue Ridge Caravan, so I'll have to remember exactly what the name of the town is that they started in. Anyway, so yeah, I need to cover Fallout New Vegas again after that, and again that will be a RepCon. If you weren't here last time, I talked about how I'm going to be looking for a website builder if I can find one, just because the amount of time that's involved with that, either I'm building a website or I'm making videos, and I can't really do both at the same time. So okay, so let's talk a little bit about the stuff on the show. First of all, the chalkboard, as a lot of Mercy alluded to. I'm going to say that it was a mistake that they made in the show, and it's not because of the people saying that they made Fallout New Vegas non-canon. Let's just get to what it is. There's a chalkboard inside Vault 4 that they see with a timeline, basically, of Shady Sands and the New California Republic. And so basically at the very end of the chalkboard, there's a spot where it says 2277, and it says the fall of Shady Sands, and there's an arrow pointing to a nuclear mushroom cloud. I'm going to just go ahead and say I think that the showrunners made a mistake in the way they laid that out, because it's way too open to interpretation, and the people that were automatically disinclined to like the show because they don't like anything Fallout related that has been Bethesda connected to it, they were going to jump on that immediately. So I do think that was something of a mistake on their part. If you don't know why this is an issue, it's because the first battle of Hoover Dam took place in 2277. Fallout New Vegas itself started in 2281. Now there are people that are saying like, oh, 2277. They're talking about like the downfall of Shady Sands and how like the NCR started going downhill after they tried to intervene in the Mojave, and so it's like because they tried to go ahead and seize the Mojave after taking the Hoover Dam and had to deal with like constantly sending troops and treasure out to the Mojave, that's why it was a downfall. It's like when you have fall of Shady Sands pointing to a nuclear mushroom cloud, what's your assumption going to be other than that's from a nuke? So that's my main thing there. And so again, if they had simply, I don't know, if they had done it to where they had just said something like, even like 2282, let's even say that they had said 2282, because if they're saying that everything in Fallout New Vegas is canon, my understanding is the second battle of Hoover Dam, the conclusion of Fallout New Vegas, is 2282. So if they'd said 2282, 2283, and they'd put that date in there and had that be the fall of Shady Sands, that would have done it. That would have been all that they really needed to do. Again, if they were intending on keeping Fallout New Vegas canon, which my assumption is that they were, because that's immediately what they said when people said, you've made Fallout New Vegas canon. They said, no, that's not what we were saying. So, let's see. A lot of Mercy says, I don't think many people are talking about the fact that Maximus has a new handgun, the T60 pistol, which is already a drop in Fallout Shelter and build as a sidearm for power armor uses. Yeah, I mean, when it comes right down to it, like, you'd really assume that when you look at power armor, that effectively you'd have to have special weapons for it. When you consider the size of the hands and stuff like that. I mean, I'm carrying a few suits of power armor with me right now. Let's grab the T60 power armor. Actually, that looks like it's an incomplete set. But even so, I mean, the hands are still exactly what they would need to be. But if I remember correctly, like let's put this on real quick, because I think I'm remembering something. But here, let's see. Yeah, they should have said the decline started the decline of the New California Republic or something, because there were definitely serious issues in the NCR by that point in time. No power. Okay. Well, let's see if I'm remembering correctly. Yeah, okay. So the hands are not actually down in the gloves. It's like an actuator sort of a thing. So that's what I was thinking about. But even so, I was really thinking about this, especially when you see what the, the way that Maximus deals with one of the scavengers trying to steal the power armor. You got to think that those hands are capable of so much power that you really wouldn't even be able to use normal guns without risking breaking those guns apart. So, let's see, none of the... Okay, what else do we have here? Yeah, I used the name of the Fallout shelter. Drop in Fallout shelter. But I was trying to talk about there's the shelter in Fallout 76, the Flatlands shelter. That's what I basically ended up using to name the Flatlands Brotherhood. Which, if you're not a part of the Discord, then I was talking about how, and I also mentioned the actual airfield in the video as well. But there's an airfield at the western end of Utah, right near the border of Nevada, that they filmed those parts of the show at for the Brotherhood. And I don't think that that's the canonical location for this Brotherhood outpost. I was telling people in the Discord, I think that it's more likely something like Edwards Air Force Base out in California. So we'll see. Eventually, I'm hoping we'll get some more information on that. But let's see. You thought it was weird that none of the Brotherhood had energy weapons? They were pretty much all ballistic. Yeah, I'll agree with that. Especially if they've got this much contact with the Commonwealth Brotherhood. You'd think that there'd be some more energy weapons there. When he one-shot the two-shot the Yao Guai, that definitely is a strange situation. But at the same time, like, I've always kind of wondered, like, you see Yao Guai like fighting somebody wearing power armor, and it's always one of those situations where it's like, that bear I'm sure is very strong, but this power armor, it's supposed to be something that weighs multiple tons, that's made out of steel that can resist ballistic impacts. I'm not really sure exactly how much a chitin bear claw is going to do against a power armor suit. So the whole slash across the chest is definitely an interesting choice. Yeah, this is Raiders wearing a straight jacket. But yeah, and so let me just say this one thing about 1 to 2 shotting a Yao Guai. The funny thing is, I think that in reality, that's not actually all that unrealistic a thing. It's just definitely when you're playing the game, that is not the situation when you're fighting Yao Guai. Now, it would be in my situation because I'm playing in a Fallout world where I set the things to be way easier to kill. For the purposes of filming, if I can roll up to a site, do that, and I'm ready to film, that's a good thing. But yeah, when you're playing a normal game, 1 or 2 shotting a Yao Guai is ridiculous. But really, truthfully, when you're standing a few yards away from a bear and you shoot it with a pistol in the skull, I'm willing to bet you it's going to be doing some real damage there. Aaron Paul is receptive. I saw something about Aaron Paul, but the weird thing is, like, the wording, at least, that I saw of the mentioning of Aaron Paul in relation to the Fallout TV show was like, the show creator thinks that Aaron Paul would be interested in being in the show. And I was like, wait. And it's, again, at least simply the way that it was mentioned, I was just like, is it? Uh-oh. This cow's got sheep squatch quills in it. Anyway, yeah, no, yeah, it's definitely the 1-shotting and 2-shotting. It is frustrating. But Bill Burr as the Brotherhood guy, as he was great in the Mandalorian. I did enjoy Bill Burr in the Mandalorian. I don't know, because the funny thing is, in the Mandalorian, like, he feels like he was kind of I don't know. I feel like he would be better as like something like an actual bounty hunter, because he played a really good one in that, if I'm remembering correctly. Was he a bounty hunter? It's been years now since I saw that first season of The Mandalorian, and so I feel like I remember him being kind of sketchy, like, outsider sort of a thing that was basically brought in for a mission, brought in for those missions or missions they were doing. I can't remember. Yeah, well, you got to keep in mind with things like fiends. I mean, simply put, the word fiend is a word in the dictionary. And so the fact that it was attributed to a specific group in New Vegas doesn't mean that that's going to be the exact same group everywhere. And so I wouldn't be surprised if there isn't even a group called Fiends in California, but they simply refer to. They're simply referring to some horrifying person that's literally trying to eat people as a fiend, you know? But yeah, the Fiends in New Vegas are also a horrible group. That's okay. That's what it was. Thank you, Sean. Sean, seriously, it's been. I haven't watched The Mandalorian for a long time, and I watched it when it very first came out, the very first season. So. All right, so let's see what else to talk about. Okay, so again, this is kind of one of the bigger spoilery things, so I'll just say this over the course of the next minute. If you haven't watched the entire series, then tune out now. Which is that effectively there's a point in the show where it's revealed that Vault-Tec is considering launching nukes to end the world. So I mean, I personally still think that it was the Chinese because basically when it comes right down to it, just because you plan something doesn't mean that you carry it out. And just because you make plans doesn't mean that you're going to be able to anticipate everything that happens. And specifically, the main point for me that makes me think that it's not really that case, and there's multiple things, but like the very first thing that pops into my head, I hate the frickin' announcements. The main thing the very first thing that jumps out is the fact that Janie is with Cooper on the day of the bombs. I have trouble believing that if Vault-Tec had planned the end of the world, that I cannot remember Coop's wife, because I feel I don't even remember if they say her name, or if I'm just not remembering it. Regardless, I have trouble believing that his wife, who's in Vault-Tec and loves her daughter, would be fine with her daughter being away from her on the day of the bombs. I think it's much more likely that basically what happened was Vault-Tec was basically going to cause the end of the world if it didn't come around. Set a date for some point in the future, and we're still in the process of getting ready for that, if anything. And I think one of the biggest points that shows that is simply the fact that when you go around vaults in the Fallout games, you find it to be the case that Vault-Tec definitely appears at times to have been planning and collecting data from the vaults after the bombs, but they never did. Now, people could say that, well, Vaults 31, 32, 33 is basically the final parts of, or final that we know of, parts of Vault-Tec's attempted plans after the bombs to recover all that information. But, I don't know. That just doesn't seem, that doesn't seem right to me. Simply the fact that, like, there's stuff where it feels like they really would have to have been planning on getting this data while it was being collected. Places like Vault 96 and Vault 101, 111, I mean. So, anyway. So again, we'll stop talking about, I'll answer this one question here real quick. Let's see. Yeah, so the Vault-Tec definitely seems to be heavily integrated into the military-industrial complex known as the Enclave, which I've talked about this in the past, and recently I was rewatching one of my old videos and talking about how Vault 111, the military, basically acts as agents of Vault-Tec, getting people inside, and it's definitely the case that the two of them were working together at the end. And the show shows just how deeply integrated Vault-Tec and all the other companies are into the Enclave. So, again, I don't know if Vault-Tec would have moved the date without the mother knowing. Simply just because she seems to have been one of the senior level positions in there when she's in that meeting. I don't know how many like junior level people they've got in there meeting with people like Robert House. So anyway, though, again, we'll stop talking about that just in case there's some people that were tuned out to not watch spoilery stuff. But Okay, so one other thing, and I'll just mention this kind of in passing. There was someone that was asking today about ghouls and their ability to heal. Um, and so basically what I told them was ghouls have been shown to be able to heal themselves with radiation in game. Uh, Specifically because we've seen it to where ghouls can basically even be resurrected by glowing ones with radiation. But I think they were specifically referring to what happens with Thaddeus at the radio station. And I don't think that what's happening there and what happened before that when he's working with the snake oil salesman, I don't think that he's becoming a ghoul there. I could be wrong. I think he's becoming something else entirely. But I'll talk more about that when I get to reviewing that episode specifically. So, government come to take my vaults away. Yeah, I mean, and I did also see that there were a lot of people that were talking about the map that is up on the wall in the Vault-Tec office where they're showing all the vaults. I wouldn't take that thing to be a direct one-to-one representation of the real locations of the vaults. I'll just say that. Because when it comes right down to it, first of all, when you're building like that decorative panel, you have to like update that thing when there are new vaults and stuff like that. I wouldn't be surprised if they're closely related to where the vaults are, but I mean there are at least in a few spots that I've seen people talking about, it seems like there are some vaults missing and maybe some vaults, there could be some vaults we don't know about, but anyway. Again, I wouldn't be at all surprised to find out that that map is simply decorative more so than anything else. I will say that the map did have at least one spot in Canada, which is definitely interesting, because I know in Fallout 3 when you're walking around and, well, probably anywhere, but the main place that I remember seeing this is when you're walking around and, man, what is the name of the town? Springvale? I think it's Springvale, the town right outside of Megaton. You can open up the mailboxes and you can find a notice there about, like, hey, we've got new vaults opening up in Canada. Like, basically, and I think, I feel like they were talking about a couple spots, but Canada was one of the spots they were talking about opening up new vaults, so. Yeah. So, so Vault 33 would not make any sense for them to be cultivating potatoes. If anything, the fact that there are cherry tomatoes at the Philly market really seemed odd to me. If you're not aware of what a tato is, they were really introduced in Fallout 4. At least that's my understanding of it. But they are effectively a hybrid of potatoes and tomatoes. And so potatoes, my understanding is they taste like... it's almost like a French fry plant, but it tastes like cardboard with ketchup on it. Effectively is what the taste of it's supposed to be like, and it's effectively the plant that you see grown across the wasteland in the place of tomatoes and potatoes. And so yeah, the fact that there are cherry tomatoes at the Philly market, and along with that there are apparently potatoes in Vault 33, it doesn't make any sense because again it's a mutated plant. Now I do think that they were experimenting with this kind of stuff before the bombs, specifically when we're looking at, I think is it Operation Greenhouse? Vault-Tec, not Vault-Tec, West-Tec, when they were originally working on the PvP, the Pan Immunity Variant Project, back before that became the FEV, they were working on finding other applications for the use of what eventually became FEV. And one of the things that they were looking at doing is mutating plants. Real quick, I think do I have any potato plants here? I think most of the time whenever I plant crops here, it's specifically because there's like a daily challenge to plant crops. There we go. There you go, a potato plant, which as you can see looks like a lumpy, weird tomato. But why don't we go ahead and... You think Tato was discovered in Arctos Pharma? To be honest, my knowledge of Arctos Pharma is not what it should be. I need to eventually, at some point, cover that location. For the longest time, I avoided it because the activity that was there was definitely so much of a group activity. Now that I have a Fallout World, and I've had one for a while, so I should have covered it at some point, but I've just been distracted with a whole bunch of other stuff. I'd need to look at Arctos Pharma. Rebellion. Is that who that was? Wait. No, I'm thinking of someone else here, because I really did enjoy when you're watching the Fallout series, the guy who's now working for Vault-Tec, who once worked for Westech, and he's like talking about, oh man, you wouldn't believe all the problems we had there with that power armor. And Cooper's like, yeah, I know, I was wearing that stuff. Yeah. Well, also keep in mind they did the same sort of thing here at Westech when you're saying that there's an underground bunker where they tested radiation on plants. Yeah, buds. God. That is such a like that the humor in that whole thing is amazing. To where it's like the most benign sounding boring sort of thing where it's like, oh, it's a corporate executive training program, and then it turns out to be something so evil. It's amazing. But let's see. There's some blackberries there. There we go, potatoes. Again, and this is a pre-war research site here, belonging to Westech. Let's find a computer terminal here real quick. It's been a while since I've reviewed this location. Ooh. Hey, ADHD Queen. Good to see you. Welcome to the stream. Fusion Flea was the greatest comedy moment for the series. Let's see. Where is... Oh, yeah, I think it's right over here. Although, no, I think I'm thinking about the mixing room terminal. That's right here. Is that what this one is? Yeah, I think that's for this room. Ah, there it is. Is this part of it here? Yeah, I think this is it. Yeah, so this is basically just right here talking about how they're moving themselves away from this project where they were working on using the PvP on plants. Let's see, formula adjustment here. Water analysis. So yeah, again, they were distributing, if you're unaware of the Fallout 76 lore, they built a Westech facility here, right next to Huntersville, West Virginia. They built a brand new water system here in Huntersville. They pumped the town's water supply with FEV, and it turned the people into super mutants slowly over time. This is literally everybody in the town that was turned into super mutants, even a baby. I don't remember the name of the baby, but I do know it was Mrs. Sherman's kid, I believe, is what that is. So yeah, that's what happened here in Huntersville. Trying to remember what I was thinking about before this. Oh, potatoes. So yeah, again though, it does seem like potatoes are potentially a pre-war product, given that you can find them here in the Westech facility near Huntersville. But I think, honestly, I think that they're all part of a larger overall plan. Where is the... It's been a while. There it is. Abandoned waste dump. I believe that they're all... And I can't remember if this is a note you can find now or if it's a note you can only find during a quest. But I think they're all part of a covert program that was paid for through the agricultural department. Where basically they were talking about doing all this stuff for like the benefit of America. But it was really all just a way to pay for these black box projects where nobody really wants to know what they're doing, but it's like it's for the good of America. Yeah, I'm definitely hoping that we'll see Stanislaus Braun show up in the series. I would not be even slightly surprised if we did. Alright. Again, I'm hoping this note is available in here. It may not be. It may be something that is entirely quest-based in its appearance. There we go. Okay. Here we are in the bunker of former Senator Sam Blackwell. Yes, here it is. Department of Ag Projects. Hey Sam, remember I'm doing you a favor here, now you owe me one, and you've seen what heights my bar tab can reach. Honestly, though, next time you should just talk to the secretary directly. He's a good guy and a smart cookie. I think you two would get along. Jody Sorset, Senate Committee on Agriculture. This is the the secretary they're talking about here is Eckhart, Secretary of Agriculture, who would eventually become the president of the White Spring Enclave. Department of Agriculture Active Research Projects Budding Patriots Initiative, a national nutritional initiative to prepare the next generation for nation service through enhanced nutrition. Congressional Bunker Food Preservation Initiative, pilot program to extend the shelf life of various food being prepared for the Central Congressional Bunker. Of course, the Congressional Bunker being the White Spring Bunker that was an Enclave bunker. National Water Enhancement Initiative, developing food additives that can be deployed in local water systems to enhance well-being across citizens of the United States, done in conjunction with the Department of Defense. American Crop Protection Initiative, a broad-spectrum look at the use of biological agents to eliminate crop pest, and Pest Self-Eradication Initiative, developing techniques to biologically modify weevils, moles, and other pests to self-eliminate. So specifically here, I think what we're looking at in Huntersville is the National Water Enhancement Initiative, where they built this water system specifically to contain the FEV to the area right around Huntersville. And then the American Crop Protection Initiative, I believe, is the use of PVP to change crops. So I think these are the specific projects. These are the cover stories for how they were doing this stuff to the locals here and what they were also doing within the Westech laboratory here in Huntersville. But again, this is going back to Tato's, specifically in the American Crop Protection Initiative. I would not even be slightly surprised to find out that the Pest Self-Eradication Initiative is something that's somehow responsible for things like the giant blind mole rats and stuff like that. We now have learned from the Fallout TV series that the Gulpers are a product of Vault 4, so that's something we've got to thank them for. Alright, back out of here. Yep, there are specific sites that we can basically now claim to be the homeland of some of the worst creatures in existence. Like Big Mountain being responsible for the Cazadors in Fallout New Vegas. Let's head back out of here. Trying to think of some of the other ones, because I do remember there being specific vaults that are responsible for specific creatures, but I don't remember them off the top of my head. Obviously, Vault 94 being responsible for the creation of the mire. Not intentionally, of course. Oh, I know. The TV show Gulpers, which you could say that it's like a revision of the Gulpers that we see in the game, but I would say that more so we're looking at a higher definition version of it, if anything. And probably, yeah, it's a retcon version of them, but at the same time, it's one that oh, wow, I don't think I've caught this once before. It's such a rare thing to catch. This is the pipe is life thing. If we go check out this body here, pipe. Pipe is life. Yeah, unusual pipe, sniff. Oh man, seriously, that is literally the second time total that I have seen that specific encounter pop up, and now I'm going to deal with this for a little while. Yeah, Gulpers though, I need to review the bestiary of Fallout 4 because I know there's a lot of overlap between Fallout 4 and Fallout 76, but I don't remember if Gulpers definitely. Do they exist in Fallout 4? I'm pretty sure they exist in Fallout 4. Oh, yeah, no, I know. Live action version of the Deathclaw's got to be great, so long as they do it right. I'm sure they can. I really am looking forward to seeing it. I think we saw one skull of a Deathclaw. I was really thinking when we originally got to the scene where there is the Yalgwai, I was initially assuming that we were going to see a Deathclaw. I am glad, though, that we ended up seeing a Yalgwai as well, so. Far Harbor, that's right. Thank you. So there's a poster from... Oh, okay, yeah. I feel like I did see that. There being the... Like, it's in a vault, if I remember correctly. Okay, one other thing I want to say about Piper, with you saying that there, is that there's definitely a character in Philly dressed as Piper, which, like, I thought was kind of funny, because Philly is, like... It really appears to me to be a mix of... what's it called? Megaton and Diamond City. And so the fact that there's a character dressed as Piper as they walk in, it's just kind of crazy. Well, keep in mind that if we're looking at Far Harbor, that content is taking place in 2287. And so I think Gulpers were created very shortly after the beginning of the war. Now, the idea that they actually got all the way here to Appalachia in that time is a bit ridiculous. But I will say that I don't think it's at all a stretch to think of something getting from the West Coast to the East Coast over 200 years. Yeah. She was... Philly Piper was looking rough. So, speaking of Philly, last night on the Discord, we were talking about basically the map of, well, specifically Philly, its location, and we were talking about the map of the series. And so as in watching episode 1 5 times, I ended up putting some things together there. I'm going to be watching episode 2 a few times at least. But basically what I noticed in watching episode 2 a second time is that Philly is not at all far from LAX. Los Angeles International Airport. So I will definitely be working on putting together a map that includes all the locations as best I can. So let's see. Okay. You know, I'm absolutely someone who sticks up for Bethesda a lot, but I will say that I think it was ridiculous the way that Emil came out and said, "Oh yeah, but I can't, I'm so happy to share with you the fact that Nate is this character from Fallout 1 from this newsreel about about the annexation of Canada." And it's like, and people were like, "Oh, the guy that's committing a war crime." And it's like, no, the guy that's standing next to him. Oh, the one who hands him the gun to commit the war crime and gives a thumbs up to the camera. That's Nate. So, yeah, it's like, oh my God. And so it's like, again, I'm someone who loves Bethesda games and will stand up for them a lot, but it's like, that makes you look so bad in that moment that you would say that, because it's like, how did you not review that little spot before commenting on that and saying that specific thing? Oh my God. So I saw so many tweets after the fact where people were like, "God, these guys don't even know the canon of their own game," which, like, to be fair to Emil, that that is from Fallout 1997, which we're talking about a game that took place that was released 11 years before, basically before Fallout 3. So it's not even really the canon that they ended up producing. So I'm going to give him a little bit of wiggle room there, but at the end of the day, again, you shouldn't be saying something like that on social media if you haven't reviewed that kind of thing beforehand. You think they don't understand the satire of it like Interplay did? Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I'll say regardless, I'm still looking forward to Fallout 5, even when you see stuff like that come out. Oh, man. That was not good. Anyway, though, let's see. So, anyway, going back to the map a little bit, when I was talking about, let me open up my Discord real quick here because I want to make sure I remember the name of who it was who said this. That Philly is, they saw in some pre-release content that Philly is named as it is because it was a landfill. I think, am I in the right? No, I think it's in this one. Denny said in some pre-release interviews and stuff that Philly is named as it is because it's a landfill. Which, cause yeah, I was wondering myself, why is Philly called Philly? And every single time I hear the name Philly, I like potentially you could think like I feel like it's a young female horse is a filly. I don't remember, but yeah, I always think of Philadelphia just because I'm so used to the name Philly from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia and them talking about Philly. I always keep thinking about Philadelphia every time I hear the name Philly. But regardless, I do think it's near LAX. I took a look at it. I also asked ChatGPT basically about whether or not there were any landfills in that area historically. It gave me a list of a couple of them. One of which is near in between Santa Monica and Venice. That one was basically paved over in the 1930s. And then there was another one that existed, I think, significantly longer than that, just north of LAX, that they ended up paving over after that. And that, what to me makes sense as the site for Philly, would be somewhere just north of LAX. Let's see. Yeah, again, I said this in the, so I'll just say right off the bat, I do like the TV show. It definitely has issues, but it's also one of the better representations I've seen of a pre-existing universe that they have then brought to television. So it's one of the better adaptations that I've seen, even with the mistakes that they make. So I'll say that. But yeah, I even said before the release of the show that I was concerned because of how much Brotherhood of Steel and Vault Dwellers that we were seeing in the pre-release content for it. Simply because I feared that effectively they were going with like the most common known tropes of the Fallout universe because they would be kind of afraid to stray from that area. So the bar for that is incredibly low. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if you've seen much of the Halo television series, if you've seen the Rings of Power series, the bar, I personally have not seen it, but I've heard people who love the Wheel of Time talking about how bad that series is. Yeah, the bar is incredibly low. So anyway, so I will say as well with the Enclave, I was not terribly enthused with what I saw of the Enclave, simply because it didn't seem to me to be all that recognizable as Enclave. And also, again, hopefully we'll see more of it in the future. I don't see any reason why we wouldn't. But just from what I saw of the Enclave, it was kind of like, what are these guys doing? Where is this outpost? What's going on here? The only reason we knew it was the Enclave really was simply because they stated multiple times, yeah, it's like, oh yeah, this guy's running from the Enclave. No! I don't like it how the announcement comes on every time. Oh. Okay. I just got the reward for fertile soil, and now this random event is starting up here in the mire. Anyway. So yeah, I'm going to keep working on that map though. I don't typically like to cuss on the stream, so I'll just say there's a location called the S-hole. We'll say crap hole. And that is, I believe, a bomb site, like a crater site. So we'll look at that. Because we see 4 impacts in the opening of the first episode. So it may be possible to locate that. I did say, I think it was on Discord, that the road specifically that Coop is riding off on at the beginning of the first episode, that road, as far as I can tell, does not exist. And I based that on the location of the Griffith Observatory, which is in the shot, and the road is above the Griffith Observatory, but also to the northwest of it. And I didn't find one that was significantly higher than the Griffith Observatory in that area. So I just didn't see one like that. It's not really a problem, I don't think, because again, we're talking about Los Angeles of 2077. So it's entirely possible that they've built up more in that area. So just picked up a syringer. Yeah, no, and so I will definitely say that one of the themes that I've definitely picked up on, and again, this is after rewatching the first episode and seeing all the other episodes at least one time, again twice for episodes 2 and 3, is that I definitely think that if anything, Lucy is trying to run a pacifist run. And I say that for a few reasons. Specifically in the first episode, she shows herself to actually be, well, she doesn't. The show shows her to be an excellent shot, despite the fact that she claims not to be. I think that she is quite skilled with guns, but does not like the idea of killing people. And in fact, like the closest that she really gets to it is when her brother is about to be killed by that one raider. And she ends up shooting that lady basically like in the eye socket with a dart. I think that's the closest she actually gets it in the first episode or two to actually killing somebody. And the fact that, you know, it's one of those things where it's like when she first starts out in the fight in the vault, the only gun that she has on hand is that little syringer pistol. But at the end of the day, like once she's getting ready to leave the vault, she absolutely could have picked up something else, and yet she still went out of the vault with a little syringer pistol. So she definitely seems to be at least attempting something like a peaceful run there. No, yeah. So yeah, I talked about that in the in my review about the fact that Coop's daughter did not go blind. The initial blast is absolutely done for dramatic effect. The fact that Janie didn't go blind from the initial blast, the fact that nobody else noticed the flash from the blast, even Coop, who was basically turning around with a piece of cake to go back to her, the fact that the radiation wave that came from which if you're not aware, there's effectively the way you know a nuclear blast is a nuclear blast rather than just a conventional detonation, is that there are two flashes, actually. There's the first flash, which is like radiation coming out, and then there's the fireball that grows up and expands. Well, that first radiation wave is supposed to be effectively moving at the speed of light. And so, yeah, it absolutely should have gotten there. And basically, if it didn't fry the electronics, they should have at least seen some massive burst of static on the screen. But again, they never did. And again, the shockwave moves incredibly slow on that first bomb, entirely for dramatic effect. Which is one of those things where it's like, I can forgive that sort of thing because, again, it's being done for a television show. It doesn't have to be 100% realistic. We're trying to convey the fear and emotion that comes with them seeing this sort of a thing. But when it comes right down to it, they also had the bombs fall at the wrong time of day, which that was the thing I had the bigger problem with. I appreciated the scene, but at the end of the day, the bombs on the West Coast fell before 5:42 a.m., so I don't know what kind of kids' birthday parties are going on at that time and how it's that bright in the sky, but anyway. What else was I going to talk about, though? So yeah, again, as I was saying earlier, I believe that the Brotherhood Outpost is potentially Edwards Air Force Base. The only reason I don't say that is, well, there's two reasons. Specifically, I believe that would be an enclave site, if anything. Because it's a major Air Force base, and it's also a place where we launch missiles from. And it's also the secondary pickup location basically for space shuttles, or it was back in the day where that was like the secondary spot where they could come in and land. And so really, again, that feels much more like an enclave site. Then the other reason is that like Edwards Air Force Base also does not look like a Air Force base that was abandoned in 1969, like Wendover Airfield in Utah. So I don't know. I really liked the scenes that were done there, at least the setting that they put up there, because I think the setting was just kind of perfect for a Brotherhood outpost. But at the end of the day, again, I don't think that Wendover, Utah is the actual canonical location. Simply because, like, it would not make sense for them to be sending out missions from there. I don't know. The vertibirds, I feel like they would have gotten higher. Simply because if you don't know much about like aircraft and stuff like that. There's a reason that they fly higher, and that's to save fuel and stuff like that. Now we don't know exactly what these vertebrates are flying on. Feels like half the time it's fuel, and then you get to Fallout 76 and they're flying on ultrasight cores, so who knows. How did the Vault Dwellers not realize the Raiders had scars on their heads? Yeah, okay, so my main thing with that, and yeah, they should have absolutely, if nothing else, Chet, the gatekeeper, should have effectively been like checking these people, you know, as part of his job. But yeah, when I started watching the scene and I saw the tattoos and I saw their manners and stuff, I was like, okay, something's going on here. Anybody who was on the Discord at the time as I was like live watching it and reacting to it will know that I knew beforehand something was up. But yeah, the Vault Dwellers absolutely should have at least been curious. I will say that I think that there is a basic excuse for this, which is that the Vault Dwellers are trying to be neighborly. And that's the only really thing I can say is like they're naive about their defense. They're attempting to be neighborly to their fellow Vault Dwellers, and so they might not. You're the gatekeeper? Well, Chet definitely is it, although he's the Alabama gatekeeper, it seems. I will say that was one of the more off-putting parts of that second scene in the first episode. Was like, whoa, what? And it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, it makes sense that that kind of stuff would happen after 200 years where basically everybody's interrelated, but at the same time, it's still like, ugh, okay. Yeah, and so, again, with my cousin Kiz and Chet, it's the George Michael from Arrested Development. He really would have enjoyed the Vault experience. But yeah, I will say that there are other issues that come up with the content of the first episode that don't become issues until you see later episodes in the season. I'm not gonna talk about them too much now, and I didn't talk about them in the video because I was specifically commenting on that first video.
So, are we gonna kill him, bot?
But I will talk about them more in those later episodes. We're talking about issues related to... Oh. Okay. I'm talking about issues related to, like, Moldaver. And her interactions with people in that first Vault group. The people that she was there with. The interactions between Overseer McLean and Moldaver seem strange when you know later things. The way that they think the vault has never been opened when you know later things. Again, I'll come back to that stuff eventually. The assault rifles the Brotherhood were using, they're from Fallout 4. Yeah, I absolutely want the Ghoul's gun as well. The Ghoul's gun is amazing. Like I saw some people talking about, it's like, now we're talking about a real proper pistol run. Like, if you're doing pistols only, that would definitely be the way to do it. Yeah, absolutely. Interesting that Moldaver brought Raiders with her when you know what you know about her later. So yeah, the Fallout 4. Do I have one of those on this character? Probably not. I got a whole bunch of guns on this guy, but I don't think I've got one of those. No. Let's see if I... Oh, fog crawler. I wonder if we're going to see any fog crawlers or if those are going to remain an East Coast monster. Yeah, Chinese assault rifle or a handmade. Let's go back to my camp here real quick. So yeah, the assault rifle that they were using is the Fallout 4 assault rifle. Which was always a gun that when I was playing Fallout 4, I could never find enough ammunition for that thing. To really make it something that I wanted to use it. And so much of the time it was also just a single shot rifle when it really, like, it's got a water cooled barrel. It's like I should be firing this thing non-stop, but I'm not. Handmaid's Tale. Okay. I was a bit confused on that one. I was like, I think we're mixing our post-apocalyptic or our dystopian future fantasies here. Do I have an assault rifle on this character or no? Got a whole bunch of crap here, but I don't know. Hellstorm missile launcher. Big part of the history of the Brotherhood of Steel here with the Hellstorm missile launcher. Got a lot of crap in here that I have never used before. Oh, yeah, seeing the junk jet, that was really one of my favorite things. There's a tactical handmade. Let's see. Yeah, I guess I don't. Yeah, it does show her animosity towards Vault-Tec, but at the same time it also seems like a risky move for her. I don't know. Feels like it would be kind of a smarter thing for her to take some soldiers that are just loyal to her. But I don't know. Let's see. Yeah, I really enjoy the animosity that the Ghoul has for Vault-Tec. Like, that is some next level stuff that he has there. And the blowing the hole in the Vault Boy's face when I'm... The way it's looking is it feels like they're trying to make it be the case that Cooper Howard is the model, the original model for the Vault Boy, but I don't know if that's actually what they're trying to do or not, so... these little foxes. It has always been weird to me in Fallout 76 that the foxes show up as enemies, but are not at all hostile. I don't know. Let's see, what else to talk about here? Yeah, I saw there was some people talking about, they had thought that, whoa, that the canonical location for the Brotherhood base was up in, like, Wendover, Utah, but because they were saying just how far Lucy and Maximus had to walk, but no, Lucy and Maximus, they do not walk like halfway to Utah. They're all in the LA basin in that time. The radio station, I cannot remember. I need to rewatch that specific episode, but they talk about the radio station being at the base of a set of mountains. Whoa, what was that? Robin Williams, it's not your fault, Tech. God, yeah. I mean, I'm really looking forward to seeing more of the relationship between Cooper Howard and his wife, and also looking at basically what specifically happened that caused the full downfall of his career. If it's the fact that they discover that he was using that listening bug, that, or if it's I can't tell if his wife had basically discovered that he was using that listening bug, and that's why she went to that big reveal that she had. But it's going to be really interesting to see. You want them to use the 80s in season 2. Are you talking about the that Raider group? The 80s? It's going to be really interesting to see, because it definitely seems like they're going to New Vegas for season 2, at least partially. So it will be definitely interesting to see what the canonical outcome of Fallout New Vegas is. Yeah. No, yeah. Cooper Howard's line of, the Ghoul's line, whichever one you want to use, line about, it's like, the rule of the wasteland is you will get sidetracked. It's absolutely the story of every Fallout game. And I do actually enjoy the way that they structured the episodes, in that effectively, like, Lucy's on her main quest, but then she gets sidetracked by this side quest that turns out to be the main quest. Or is going to help her with the main quest, I guess. Yeah, I think that was really great. Because it is an absolute perfect representation of what goes on in every Fallout game, where every time you think you're doing this thing to get something done, you suddenly realize, oh, there's a whole bunch of other crap that I got to take care of. Of course, the more ridiculous version of that probably comes from Fallout 4, when it's like, okay, got to get down to Concord. Now that I'm here, I realize that what I have to actually do is build a full network of outposts that grow corn. It's like, gotta find my son, bring him back to me, but also you gotta get these trading outposts established.
Clean up this.
It's so weird to find these guys just hanging out in the middle of nowhere like this.
Expand our area all the way out here. The Raiders.
All right, so getting close to closing things up here. Been about an hour, so if you guys have any questions or comments you want to get in, I'll just real quick again give a full detailed list of what you're going to be seeing from my channel over the next few weeks. Yeah, Sean can wait, must build a bobblehead stand. So again, I'm going to be covering the remainder of the Fallout television series, just like I covered the first episode. I'm going to cover each episode individually. Then I'm going to do a final rounding up episode, which will talk about issues that arise like later in the series and just overall what I'm looking to see in the next season, stuff like that. Then I'm going to also be producing the Fallout 76 lore videos covering Point Pleasant, the Mothman cults. I'm going to be producing a Fallout 4 lore video covering the Gunners, the Fallout New Vegas video covering REPCON, which also I want to know what year a lot of that pre-war content in the series is showing, because REPCON was swallowed up by Robco at some point, yet they had a seat at that table. So I really want to see what's going on, like what year that is. Anyway, back to upcoming stuff. Again, I'm also going to be looking for a website builder, just because I just do not have the time to do it myself right now. And once I have that website up and running, then I will start working on that Fallout 3 Metro lore video again, because I want a place where I can properly store all those maps that I'm looking to make, along with basically like the Google Maps, or if you're old enough, MapQuest version of things, where it's like, okay, I'm standing here on the outskirts of Grey Ditch. What's the fastest way to get to the Washington Monument? And it gives you like, go through these 3 stations, and it'll take you 4 minutes or something like that. So again, that's my goal with that kind of stuff. But again, I need to find a proper website builder. If you weren't here last time, I did look into Squarespace, but they definitely don't work for what I'm looking for in terms of video streaming, because I already stream video from Amazon S3 using CloudFront, and that is not what they do there. And I am not going to... first of all, I don't think that they have the capacity for the amount of footage I'm looking to upload. But secondly, I don't really want to have to re-upload all this stuff to an entirely new service when I've got like 100 videos on Amazon S3. So we'll look at that. But I'm still going to have to find the proper group to do, the proper organization. If not an organization, then I'll look at something like Fiverr and see if I can find somebody on there. But again, even though I took my boot camp to build websites, I do not have the time for that kind of thing if I'm going to keep making videos. So, getting the 3 casinos. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I mean, at the end of the day, we could well see there just being a casino. Keep in mind, there are actually 4 casinos in the game, including the Lucky 38, even though it doesn't really have a staff. The Tops Casino, I mean, each one of them has a reason why it should not exist anymore by the time we get to Fallout New Vegas. Because, again, Lucky 38, if something has happened to House, it wouldn't make sense for that one to still be around. The Tops Casino, Benny betrayed House. It would make sense that he would have some sort of vendetta against them. Gamora was looking to overthrow the Strip. There's definitely a reason that they would be gone. And yeah, the Ultralux is full of cannibals, and so if anybody is looking at that, there's definitely a reason that would also be one that's gone. So there's good reason for any one of those to be gone. I just remembered before, at the very beginning, not at the very beginning, but a while back, I was talking about, yeah, Fallout New California Republic was definitely in really bad shape by the time of the Courier getting to Good Springs. So it's one of those things where it's like, it makes sense to me that either we could see that the Courier had some great effect on them and they ended up, the NCR managed to do great before the fall of Shady Sands, or we could easily see it being the case that they completely fell apart because they were dealing with all kinds of issues. And I didn't even really consider just how bad it was until I started making lore videos. But when you get to Novak and you realize that, especially once you do Ranger Andy's mission to go look at Ranger Outpost Charlie, and at that point you realize that literally from Mojave Outpost to Novak there is no protection along that trade route. They were not doing well. The Deathclaws being all over I-15 because the Powder Gangers stole all the explosives from the quarry, meaning that there was not enough noise to keep the Deathclaws away. Which, kind of funny little thing there, I just had a little connection pop up in my head. If you've played Starfield, there are the Terramorphs, and there's an outpost, what is it called? Something Outpost Gamma. Within the... It's either in the Vega star system or it's in one of the neighboring ones. But basically, a bunch of thumping loud noises keeps Terramorphs away. While in Fallout New Vegas, the explosions taking place at the quarry in Sloan kept the kept the death claws away. Just kind of an interesting thing. You've got these two like apex large-scale predators in Bethesda products that are kept away by explosives. Well, also keep in mind with Fallout New Vegas, when you talk to what is his name, the ranger at Camp Golf, he talks about the fact that they've completely drained their reservoirs. So yeah, the NCR was definitely having some trouble. There was also some problems with things like the Brahmin barons basically buying up all the land. And it's one of those things where when you look at the history of ancient Rome and how it became the empire and then eventually collapsed, and like the fact that there was like civic participation kind of collapsed because people didn't have a stake in the game and stuff like that, because effectively the Akats ended up owning everything. It's the same sort of situation that seems to be happening in the NCR in New Vegas, to where it's like the average person no longer really owns as much. Anyway, we're getting way off track and I'm trying to close things out here. Children of Adam, it's one of those things where the Children of Adam seem to be spreading incredibly rapidly, so it could well be that they have a presence in Nevada. We'll see. I mean, when you get right down to it, they existed seemingly solely around Megaton in Fallout 3. But well, so if we're talking about losing everything on the West Coast, yeah, I don't think that would be the case. But again, I'm not sure exactly what we're looking at with the NCR, because again, it could be that they destabilize themselves, and if they lose the Hoover Dam, then they lose the water that they were sending back to California as well. When again, if all the lakes were already drained and they weren't getting the water from the Mojave, then there's probably going to be some issues there. So, okay, yes, let's close things out. Again, I'll be back next Friday. I'm hoping to probably at least have 2 more videos out by then covering the Fallout TV series. It takes a while to put those things together, longer seemingly than putting together like a normal show where I'm using footage from the game, simply because I like constantly have to keep taking screenshots and stuff like that. But anyway, I'm hoping to have 2 out by then. Hope you all have a good weekend, and I will see you all next time. So great to hang out with you all.